The Environmental Protection and Development Authority be meant to look after all environmental issues in the Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah, mainly looking at the protection of the resources and protecting the environment from any degradation. So we are looking after wildlife, resources, at the same time the development of environmental ecosystem here in the Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah. So actually, from the name, when you go back to the name of the Environmental Authority, you will see it is environmental protection and development. So we are putting the development with the protection of the environment. Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah has three main ecosystems. Those are the coastal and marine environment. Then we have desert environment. And the third one, we have the wadis and the mountain. And each one of them has its own characteristic from plant or animal and even temperature. The desert ecosystem, it is a fragile ecosystem, but it is a unique ecosystem. It is more active at night, while people, they don't see that. You move to the coastal area, we have different species from the mangrove to the seagrass meadows to the coral reef, and that's why you see it a very productive coastal environment in our Emirates. The fishery issue in EPDA, where we are really looking after the protection of the fishery in the Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah by licensing the professional fishermen and the sport fishermen. We are implementing the federal law in the fishery issue by looking after the size of the fish. If they are undersized, we are not allowing that. And we are also looking at some of the protected area where it should not be fished, which is the nursery ground, like in the harbors or the creek. So our inspector or our staff will be patrolling those areas and trying to sustain this resource by really protecting it. Because fishery sector is very important sector for UAE and the people, I will say, in Ras Al Khaimah or in any other emirate. Fishery is their livelihood. We look at the emission from industrial activity in the emirate by checking the air quality. If it is in the quarries or in the cement factories, and everything we have is under control, if not daily, every other day there will be some of our staff who will be visiting those quarries or visiting the crushers or the cement industry. And at the same time, we have a mobile lab which is really measuring the air quality in different locations. By looking at the CO2 or the PM10 dust particles in the air. Our staff They visit all those areas, they measure, they advise, we analyze. We do have also our own laboratory where we collect samples sometime from the industrial area if it is sediment sample, and we check the hydrocarbon if there is some leak from the activity of those of this industry, and if there is some wrongdoing, then we have to take action by closing the establishment or by giving them a warning or giving them advice if it is a minor thing. So since we started, we have been looking at the licensing of all major developmental projects in the Emirate, and we are looking at the small sector also by licensing them. And when I say licensing them, we are giving them the environmental license. We go and we check the place, and we have to be sure about any environmental impact. So evaluate the environmental impact, then we license the activity. We do have now in our licensing department, everything goes online. Our inspector will check the application. If the application is acceptable, if the activity is approved, they can proceed with their activity. And after that, they have to come and renew their license in annual basis or sometime biannually if that is required. In the past, it was focusing mainly in one sector, which is mainly, I could say, the small industry in the Emirate, and mainly the cement industry. Now the Emirates have developed really fast, and we have a very diverse industry in it. So EPDA has to grow up with that to protect the environment and to promote the industry hand by hand. We are having a lot of responsibility by not only looking at the industry, but also looking at the natural resources, how to protect the natural resources, and how really to prevent pollution or to limit the impact of the activity in air pollution, water pollution, and soil pollution. So that is what we are looking for, and that is why you see us nowadays we are developing our laboratories in EPDA. We are increasing the number of staff. Now we have at least 4 PhD working in EPDA, and we are getting some more. Our inspector, they come up from different backgrounds, from I would say engineering to science and a different field of science to administration. We have about, I would say 30% or more Emirati staff working in EPDA, and we are hoping to increase that number. We are nowadays trying to focus also in the public relation by educating the people, by having some contact in school and some activities. And in the future, we are trying to focus more into the education. Our target going to be more into that, to get the people understand what is the environment and how to protect the environment.